So welcome, guys.
Hello.
So we have Christine, Mike, and I. And I'd love for you guys, before we get going, we're going to talk a bit about the harsh truths of content marketing. If you want to just introduce yourselves, start here from Christine. You got the microphone right there.
Oh, we do, don't we? Hi, I'm Christine Gritman. I'm here from New York, not the city. Nyack, New York, just a little bit north of it. And I run Christine Gritman, Inc. I help small business owners not be freaked out or intimidated by social media.
I'm Mike Alton, originally from Ohio. Go Buckeyes. Yeah. I live in St. Louis now. I blog. I obviously work for AgoraPulse. You may have heard that name a couple of times already today.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what I do is manage the relationships. So that's why these guys are all great friends with me and AgoraPulse.
Hey everyone, my name's Ai, and for this particular trip, I flew from South Korea. So I was hoping that Chris was going to ask, which of you are from a different country? And so honored to be here, and I'm the founder of Classroom Without Walls Academy, and my full-time job is a college professor. My side hustle is building my own school, and so really excited to talk about this topic.
Great, great. So we're going to talk today about the harsh truths of content marketing and online marketing. And if you want to learn more about this, I actually just tweeted the link right before I came up stage. Jessica actually put together a great article on LinkedIn that we each contributed to a couple months ago with ourselves and about, 15, 20 other marketers from around the world. So you can check that out. There's a video as well. But I wanted to ask, and we're going to start with you, Mike. I wanted to talk to you about one thing that you talked about in that article, which is patience. Can you expand a little bit about why content marketing takes time?
How many of you in the room have heard the phrase, if you build it, they will come? Yeah. And how many of you have seen articles that are like, 5 quick ways to get 10,000 Instagram followers, or your quick start guide to starting a blog? The internet is filled with those kinds of pieces of advice, with those kinds of recommendations, and that's a harsh truth. It's created a perception amongst a lot of people, businesses and bloggers alike, that this can be done quickly. That I should be able to create a piece of content, and then all of a sudden droves of people are going to come to my website and read that piece of content and then hire me. And I know from personal truth, I stood on this stage a year ago and shared part of my story in that I was creating content for 2 years and getting 0 sales and 0 traffic and 0 leads out of that content. And so what a lot of people need to teach themselves, and that's part of what we're here to help you do this evening, is understand that it does take time. First of all, any type of content creation that you're going to do is a skill that you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to teach yourself or be taught how to write, how to do audio, how to do video, whatever format that content's going to take place in. You have to become a bit of an expert in that. And then even as you're doing that, you got to grow an audience. And that takes a lot of time. So you have to be patient. You have to go into it with the understanding that I need to be realistic with myself, with my business, with my audience. They need time to learn who I am. They need time to learn what I can do and what I can do as a business, how I can help them, and how I can help them maybe grow their businesses, which many of you in the room are trying to do for other people. So that's a big part of patience, I think.
How long have you been blogging, Mike?
I started blogging in 2008. And I pivoted in 2011 to a completely different focus, completely different site, and that was a big game changer for me.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to start there with time. How many of you guys were here last year? Year before? So we've had people coming back and back and back year after year. I know we were here last year as well. That there's really nothing, I don't think, that we can teach you that's going to happen today that's going to change everything that you're doing right away. Really, we want to all encourage you to take these lessons, absorb them over the months, and then when everyone in the room comes back next year, right, and you get your tickets today, hopefully you've implemented some of those ideas over the years. And so I wanted to turn next to you, and I wanted to ask you about your live streaming show, which has become a real model of consistency. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Yeah, I started my show this thing's annoying. So as I introduced myself earlier, my full-time job is a college professor, and I really see, after working in higher education for 10 years, I really see how our educational system is not serving our students. It's mainly preparing our students for the past instead of for the future. So I decided to launch a show to show my students that they don't have to go to a physical classroom to learn. That's why my brand is called Classroom Without Walls. So when I started that show, it was mainly for my own undergraduate students taking social media classes. But over the year, by showing up on consistent basis, and my show has really, really grown. And there's only one thing. There are many things. My priority of hosting my show is to really serve my audience. I really spend lots of hours trying to find the best guests to come to my show and to prepare good questions to make sure the quality is good. And I had the great honor at the beginning of this year to interview Seth Godin on my show. And when I reached out to him, not to mention the emotional struggle before I sent that email to him, like 1 hour, my husband was like, you have to send that email. And anyway, so I got him, and he responded to me, and kind of 2 sentences. He was like, you are doing the work, and you are showing up. Only 2 things. And that's why he said, yes, I think the more I host my show and the longer I am on social media, the more I start to see the profound meaning of showing up and being consistent and offering quality content.
Can you share with us something that maybe you learned from the day you started your show to now? What's something that you do differently with creating your content?
Yeah, when I started my show, I was just really pressed the button. I just showed up. There was no plan, there was no structure, and my show was like on random days, and like even I didn't prepare any question ahead of time. So the people, my guests, just came to my show. We had a free chat. But now my show has a structure. I really spend time and energy and effort to study my guests, to stalk them if I don't know them that well. And so, like so many times, people have come to me and tell me the reason they watch my show is because of the questions that I ask. And so I really spend, now I spend a lot more time to ensure, to do quality control, to ensure the quality of my show. So that is the biggest difference, yeah. Gotcha.
And Christine, you have your own show as well, every Friday. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your show?
Sure. Every Friday since, it's had stops and starts, but since early 2017, I've had a live stream on Facebook every Friday at noon called Social. A lot of people here have been on it. And I just interview someone about a different topic of social media that they're an expert in. And for a little while, I took a brief detour where I refocused it to be not live, to be a pre-recorded show highlighting local business people in my community, but it really didn't catch on the same way. I think partially the immediacy of a live stream was a very popular element of it, and that's my favorite part of it too, so I'm happy with that. And also the idea that I have access to all these really smart people like you guys who have something to teach. I feel like the people who were watching my show weren't as interested in seeing their peers as they were in learning from people who are swimming in this all day, because my audience is primarily people who aren't that into social media and they want to learn.
Okay, but at the same time, you become quite an influencer in Rockland County, right? And you talk quite frequently about the importance of putting yourself out there, your brand, and all 4 of us share in that idea, I think. But talk a little bit about why it's important, if you're a business owner here in Lima, or a marketing executive here, why everyone here should be showing their face on their content.
Absolutely. Well, as Jessica said in her opening remarks, which is something that I also said in the video and article that we were talking about, what you do is not unique. The only true point of difference that you have in your company is you. You are truly the only competitive advantage that no one else is ever going to be able to duplicate. And you need to rock that out. You need to be unafraid to put yourself forward as your brand. And that's true even if you have a brand, even if you have something that you can kind of hide behind. You need to give people something to latch onto in the most powerful way that you can give people something to truly latch onto. That is going to be the most cost-effective for you also, honestly, because you don't have to pay you to represent your brand.
Right.
You just need to show up and do the work. And I think that that's a really huge competitive advantage not enough people take advantage of because of fear. But what they don't realize is that on the other side of that fear, once they go forward and they do it, they realize that they're a lot more powerful and that their story and their self and their own personal magnetism, once they let that shine, is the most powerful thing they could ever do for themselves, their business, their social media content, for starting those all-important conversations. It's just so powerful, and too many people aren't going there properly. And I think there's going to be a larger chasm now between the people who do it and go for it and the results they're going to see, and the people who don't do it are going to get lower results than they've ever had before.
Yeah, so we're really, again, all four of us are really kind of into the video space. But again, we're talking about harsh truth, so I really want to lean into this with you, Mike. We've got half of the 360 Marketing Squad here this week, right? So why don't you tell everybody, first of all, what the 360 Marketing Squad is, and then talk about how you guys leverage video to kind of emphasize yourselves as influencers and as authorities in each of your respective spaces.
Okay, so the 360 Marketing Squad started as a mastermind with Stephanie Liu and Jen Herman and myself, and we decided we want to form a private membership group, and neither one of us wanted to do it ourselves because it's a lot of work. So we thought if we do the three or the four of us, if we roped in one more person, that's where we found Amanda Robinson. And we created a private membership group where members pay just $5 a month. They come in and they get they get a paid live video training every single month that's into the Facebook group, which we're going to learn more about Facebook groups tomorrow with Bella Vasta. So with that group, there's two video things that are happening, actually. We had a season of live public Facebook videos, and then we have the monthly Facebook video training that's private inside the group. So those are two things that are going on kind of simultaneously from a branding perspective and a marketing perspective and a sales perspective. So we get the live video happening that's public that people can come and they can kind of see what we're like, right? They can learn what Mike Alton is like. They can learn what Stephanie Liu is like and how they interact with us on video, how they respond to questions, how they respond to chat. And then inside the group, there's a live video training where we're actually teaching and they can ask questions and engage with us that way.
Yeah, and it's a subscription model, so there's a legitimate ROI. And I want to pivot to you as well, because you're talking about creating your show. And I think a lot of people in the audience still say, oh, well, you have a show, like what does that do for you? I want to ask you, what is the ROI of creating a show? Why do you put yourself out there? And I also want you to talk about the intentionality of the engagement and where you really are spending your time when your show is over. You know, are you engaging with everybody that comments or everyone that's reaching out to you, or are you really kind of focusing on what's going to actually drive your business?
Yeah, when I started my social media journey, I didn't understand what I was doing. And I think I got really obsessed with vanity metrics. And when I started my journey, I had very few followers on every single channel. And I was so obsessed with like growing the numbers. I think that was my only focus. And I was like all over the place and was chasing shiny objects, shiny people. I had no idea what I was doing. There was no consistency in terms of the theme of content I was creating. And but like 2 years ago, I launched my show, and boy, did I see a difference in terms of how my brand and my business speaking, everything has grown. And I think for everyone in the live audience, you don't have to do, even though everyone is talking about live video, it's really popular, I think, you know, like we have to go through this journey of learn, unlearn, and relearn. We have to do what works for us. And I think the key thing that we have to focus on is like really quality. For me, I have a really kind of crazy personality, and I love being on camera. I love being in front of video. And like my show has really, really helped me and my brand to grow. Even like 2 years ago, we came to Korea. I did quite a few. I knew nobody in Korea before we came. But there were actually people in Korea watching my show. I was like, really? And so I gained quite a few speaking paid speaking gigs in Korea, even though I knew nobody there. So I think that really shows the power of like producing content on a consistent basis, really prioritizing the value you are offering and discover your own zone of genius. You know, Brian Fenzel, Brian Kramer, everyone was talking about, you know, this self-awareness. And we have to discover what is our zone of genius and dive in and producing and allow your creative energy to flow, and so that you can be the best of who you are. Like for me, it's video content. And I think that really allows me to produce quality content, and everything comes as a result of that,
Sure.
instead of me going out to chase all those things.
So the question for you then, Christine, is this. You know, again, I mentioned all four of us were pretty comfortable on video. Again, I know Mike prefers to blog sometimes, but how many of you guys, by a show of hands, and I know Ross and Jen, they were asking the same question, how many of you guys feel comfortable showing yourselves on video? Most, that's not bad, right? So for the people that didn't raise their hand, Christine, if you're running a business and you're not comfortable being on video, what other types of content do you think they should be focusing on?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, there are ways of doing video itself without being on camera. There are plenty of programs, including, I think, possibly natively on Facebook now. You can show things that aren't your face, and you can narrate, and you still have that immediacy of speaking to someone. You still have that impressiveness of being able to speak, whether it's actually extemporaneously or not. It creates the impression that you are smart because you're able to think on your feet. And it makes people feel like you're speaking directly to them. So you can still use that and just point your camera, either have a screen share situation where you're showing slides or something, or you can do a point of view situation. If you're explaining something to somebody, if you're showing something to somebody, you can bring people in with your point of view and not have to have your face on camera. But to that end, if you really are not interested in doing video, not putting your personal self out there, you can do things like blog, and again with that, I think that the trend is shifting strongly towards being more human and less polished.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you are going to blog, a blog can feel different from a more polished newspaper or magazine article. It is a different genre, even though it is still writing. And I think people need to not shy away too much from that as well.
I think the other big takeaway we can grab here is the idea of collaboration, right? I mentioned the LinkedIn article that Jessica put together, you know, where she's always reaching out to all of us, you know, for our contributions and stuff like that. And of course, you can create blog content. But where's Jen and Julie from Wichita, right? So, you know, they run their marketing company, Depict, in Wichita, and I'm driving in from Chicago yesterday with them. And there's a business owner who calls up Julie, and she wants to be on the Depict show next week. And we think about the paradigm here of if you're a business owner, you're a social media person, you're always placing these outbound calls. You're trying to get the attention of these business owners. And then I'm in the car yesterday, and there's people calling Depict saying, hey, like, we want to talk to you, right? So talk to me a little bit about, Christine, about the impact of interviewing someone on your show, even if the viewership really isn't there, right? I mean, you've had a number of great conversations maybe where there's not a huge number of people watching either live or, right, even zero, but it's still you still have that opportunity to speak to that interviewee. Yes?
And also, those videos can live forever. They stay on your feed, and then once people actually do discover you, sometimes they go back and watch them. Another nice thing about interviewing people on video is that if you interview someone really smart, even though they're the ones who are technically giving the value, your audience feels like you delivered that value to them because you are the one who selected that person to interview. You are the one who asked the right questions and steered the conversation. You're perhaps the reason they heard of this smart person who has now delivered value to them. And you get that residual thought leadership and that residual value and gratitude in the bank, which is fantastic.
Yeah, sure.
And when you interview like smart, like successful people, and people think you are also smart, they associate. Like, I don't think I'm that smart, but like after
You're way smarter than me. Like.
After I interview quite a few, like Mark Schaefer, many people, Seth Godin, I got so many emails. People think we are best friends. I was like, no, I can't arrange a lunch date between you and Seth Godin. I don't know him at all. So people just like make that association.
But at the same time, you have a certain level of credibility behind you in order to get someone like Seth on your show. As you said, he said in his email to you, you're showing up, you're doing the work. If you had not been showing up or doing the work, He tends to be pretty good with replying to people, but he probably would have given you a polite decline.
Yeah, going back to patience, right? We were talking about, yeah.
Can we go back to collaboration? for
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a second?
yeah, yeah.
So how many of you in the room own your own business? Pretty much everybody. How many of you are doing your own marketing? Now keep your hand up. How many of you are doing it by yourselves?
Whoa, somebody's hand went down, but that was about it.
So I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but earlier I talked about the 360 Marketing Squad and how it didn't start as a private membership group. It started as a mastermind group. Now, if you're not familiar with it, if you're not in a mastermind group, I think this is going to be critical to your success because it's how you get around one of the harsh truths that we've been kind of stumbling around today, which is that if you're doing your own marketing, if you're running your own business, it's on you. There's nobody else that's going to tell you, oh, that's not a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't do that video. Or this is a great blog post, but maybe if you did it this other way, maybe you edit it or share it here or give you some feedback, give you some advice that would help you grow your business. So I would encourage you to form a mastermind group with peers outside of your business that you can meet with on a regular basis and bounce ideas off of and collaborate in that way.
That's also one of the primary values of events like this. Meeting your peers, meeting other people who are in the same arena is so valuable. A few weeks ago, I myself had a moment where I was freaking out about my business. I was just freaking out. And I reached out to some people who were in this room and some people who were not on instant message. And I was like, look, I gotta be honest with you because I can't be this honest publicly. Here's what's going on. And I got the best advice. And that, it's great to have a formal mastermind because then you have that accountability. But even if you don't, have someone who you can talk to, who you can share your vulnerabilities with, and you don't have to have that veneer of success all the time. Because that is where you will truly get the best advice, the best opportunities, and just, find your way.
Yeah, and I think that's the real harsh truth is that being a speaker, being on stage doesn't necessarily equate to great success. I think Troy was talking about this before, right? That there's a lot of people in this audience who are running really successful businesses, and we're looking to kind of level out that playing field. Like, we'd love to see more success stories coming up here talking about how they're using these different content strategies and things that we're talking about, because there's a lot of very successful people here in the room. But I want to spin it back real quick. We're going to talk for a couple more minutes up here, and then the reason I have my laptop up here is I'm going to be looking for your questions, but I want you to tweet them to us. So we've got the hashtag SMWL19. I've got the feed up here. So if you want to tweet to me, if you have questions for anybody on the panel, we will sort of field hands, but Twitter questions are going to come first. Mike, I work with a lot of nonprofits. Are there any nonprofits represented in the room here? All right, shout out to you. Round of applause for the nonprofits in the room, by the way. Thank you for doing what you do. And the big question I always face with the nonprofits is, well, I have such limited amount of time to create social media content, right? And I think the for-profits would probably concur with that as well. So if you're working on a limited amount of time, you don't have the resources at your disposal, is it more important to create content, or is it more important to take the time to engage and dive in and really interact with the people that are listening to what you do put out there?
That's an interesting question, because I would hesitate to say that either is more important than the other one. A lot of it's just going to depend, like you said, on time and the content that you're creating and how you're using it. So usually my best advice for a business owner, which is like every business owner, right? I don't have enough time. I get that. The thing that you can do is live video. You can start with a live video, even if it's just one hour video per month. You're taking 1 hour out of your time once a month to do a live video. Maybe it's just you, maybe you're grabbing somebody out of the office, maybe you're grabbing somebody out of the community, and you're doing a 1 hour Facebook live video, because then you're creating an hour of content on Facebook, which is amazing. But then you've got an hour of video content that you can do so much more with. And I don't want to go through the whole spiel right here. You can catch me after if you want the whole spiel. But you can take that 1 hour of video content, you can push it to YouTube as a 1 hour video. You can take 10 minutes out of it and push it to LinkedIn as a 10-minute video. You can take a bunch of smaller video segments, push them to every other social network. You can take quotes out of that and so on. You can take that 1 hour video and power the entire rest of your 30 days of your month.
Okay, hold on though. This is the harsh moment, right?
Yes.
You're you're gonna fill up your Agora Pulse queue, and you're gonna schedule everything
Yes.
out. But then someone replies back to you and says, "Hey, Mike, I'd love to work with you guys," or "Hey, I love your show. I'd love to da 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 da." You have to still take the time to engage, right? You have to still monitor. You still have to keep your ear to the ground. Yes.
Absolutely. The engagement, the monitoring has got to be there. But what you want to do is scale. So if you are a super busy solopreneur, then be very strategic about when and what you post and where you post it. Don't post it everywhere. I was saying you could, but maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't be trying to create a YouTube channel at the same time that you're trying to build a Facebook page and a Twitter profile and an Instagram profile. You do not need to do all those things at the same time because you will not be able to keep up.
So let me pose that question out here. How many of you guys feel like you need to be active on every social media channel there is? Okay, not a lot of hands, right? How about like 4 social media channels? What's the right number? 4? 3? How many of you guys are like only on Facebook? Right? How many of you guys know how to raise your hand at a social media conference? We were doing good a minute ago, right? So does it make sense to just focus on engaging on, I know you do a lot of your content on Facebook,
Yeah,
right?
I think for me, there is a journey. When I started my social media journey, like I know Brent Fenzel talks about being yourself. I didn't know how to be myself, and I didn't want to be myself. I was just starting out, I was trying. So I spent almost my entire time every day to engage with people, to learn from them. I spent lots of time. And after a few years, I think I have come to the stage where I love creating content and leveraging the content I create to build my own community. Like for me, I really prioritize quality over quantity. And that is the most important thing. And I also, besides live video, I also love blogging. So when I blog, I want to make sure the article is really thorough, is well researched. And there was like one article I wrote 2 years ago, and that article is still bringing me traffic now. So if you feel like you don't have that much time to create content every single day, you don't have to, but make sure when you do have time, that piece of content you create is really, really good, and there can be long-term benefit of that one single piece of content.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to something that Brian Fanzo was saying before too, about nobody really cares what you do, they care about how it impacts them. Right? So this idea of listen, and then engage, like Jeff was talking about, right? And engage with authenticity.
Yeah, like
that's
social
been the key
media
for
is not
me.
about you, right? It's not about you,
Right.
social media.
And as you've talked about, and Jeff mentioned the same thing, like we're all up here because of relationships we've developed, not just with Jessica, but with others in the industry over the years, engaging with intentionality, right? And remembering again that, of course, it's not about the vanity metrics. It's about understanding who those people are that are delivering value to you. I mean, I can't tell. When I post on Instagram stories or Snapchat, right? And people are like, "Oh, Chris Strub, the Snapchat guy." Da, da, da. Here's the harsh truth from Chris Strub, the Snapchat guy. My total number of views over the last like 3 years has actually gone down. But when I look at who the people are that are watching, I'm like, "Oh my God, Bella's watching." Like, "Oh my God, I watches my stuff every day." So when you look at it 3-dimensionally and you recognize the names of your customers maybe that are walking in the door, or the people that are on your email list or that are purchasing from you, those are the people that you want to keep coming in the door. If you have 7 people watching your live stream every week, but those are the 7 people that are paying you $1,500 a month on retainer or whatever, that's pretty darn good, right? Yeah. And nothing to add. Okay, I would love to see, I nailed it, right? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions out there, or should I just keep go? Where? Yeah, hi. Yeah, Mike, I mean.
Well, I'm not going to plug my membership group, but thank you. If you're a Mac user, I use iMovie, which just comes with the Mac. And it's not like the most advanced thing, I get it. There's more advanced tools, but I'll take a 1-hour video into iMovie and edit out the parts that I want to reuse and repurpose elsewhere. For PC, I have no doubt there's other applications that you can download for free. I would probably just go to YouTube and watch a couple other people's videos, you know, how to chop up a video, how to edit a video, how to repurpose a video.
I have to add to this, Mike. Troy was asking, do you guys think that social media is free? Right? And we have the allure that it's free because sometimes it's just our time. But as business owners, as managers, et cetera, you know, that we need to recognize the value of our own time. And there, I could name 100 people out there, 100 independent video creators who would love to chop up that video for you and send it to you. They probably won't do it for free, but I'm certain that they could do it, right? So it's a matter of understanding, as I was talking about, your strike zone, understanding what you're really good at. Obviously, the biggest value for you as a business owner is going to be, as Christine would agree, like having your face out there, being the face of the brand. But I don't think any of us would say that you need to become proficient in that necessarily. You can be, but you shouldn't feel like you have to be, because there are other options if you have the resources to be able to make that happen.
I also wanted to point out, you said that it was too big to email to people and things like that. You can always upload that to YouTube, which has a huge amount of space for you there. And even if you're not building your YouTube channel, it is a really handy way to be able to link people to your video. I even have some things that are uploaded to YouTube on private, so people can only see it if I send them a link. It's just become a really handy place to store videos.
And for me, one app I really love using on my iPhone is called InShot, InShot. It's super, super easy to use. And also, like you, I'm not good at editing videos at all. And I don't feel motivated to really repurpose my video. So I don't do that. But I do love creating new interviews. I love talking with people, interviewing them. So for me, to negate the fact that I'm not good at editing videos, so I do my show on a weekly basis. So every week there's a new episode. So that has really helped me. And I think for me, just really leverage what I'm good at, especially I think at the beginning stage.
I also have to point out another thing about not bothering editing videos. You can have a pre-recorded video, and if you do it just one shot as though it were a live, it reads as a live. It doesn't get the boost that a live does, and you don't get the engagement of a live. But in terms of feeling that immediacy and getting that benefit that live videos often give, you can get that, and then you can add captions.
Okay, who else? Dan.
I love video, and there's a lot of hype around it, but at the same time, I hear a lot of great creators that are doing things with audio and written content. So just to break through some of that, it's only video hype. Do you guys think that there's still great value in audio and written content?
I love this question, and I love that Chris hands it to the blogger to answer. There's tremendous value in every single type of content. We all sat through Stephanie's brilliant session earlier this morning about how people communicate. The same ideas can be applied to how people learn. Everybody learns a little bit differently. Some people prefer to read, some people prefer to hear, some people would just rather sit and watch that quick 5-minute video. So give me the facts right now so that I can move on with my life. You need to understand your audience. Right? So just like you might go through a workflow to decide which social networks are best for your business, depending on what you prefer and your audience prefers and so on, the same questions need to be asked. Well, what kind of content does my audience really prefer to consume? What do I prefer to create? Is there a happy medium there? Do I need to repurpose, right? Do I need to shoot a live video and convert it into a blog post? So I hit both those. Do I need to then strip out the audio in iMovie and upload that as a podcast and have that audio portion? Maybe you do all three, maybe you just do one or two. A lot of it just depends, again, on answering those questions, because one isn't necessarily better than the rest.
And I would add this. I don't think that anyone in this room is really starving for content, especially video content. I mean, how many of you guys have like a Netflix account, where we watch TV? Nobody in Lima has Netflix? Okay, there we go. Right? Like, I think we have internet. My point is this. When I watch content that is created by some of the incredible creators here, and I watched an hour of Jessica Phillips interviewing you guys the other day, or I'll watch Brian Fanzo's live streams or Bella Vasta. I do it because of the kindness that these individuals have shown me over the years. Harsh truth, right? Like, I don't know that any of us in this room are talented enough to create a television-style broadcast or something like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, right? None of us can compete with that. But what we can compete with is being kind to the people that we connect with through social media, being generous, being humble, and being grateful to our customers, and then speaking directly to them. So again, I loved what Jessica was showing in that opening video this morning about it's not about likes, it's not about views, and Damien talking about hiding his subscriber count, right? Like, many of us speakers here, we're friends. We want to support one another. And everyone in this room, the line that I always love to use on stage is that we are all famous to a few people. And when you remember that your content is speaking to that audience that wants to buy from you, that wants to support you, that wants to be there from you, or if you're a nonprofit, is surviving based on the help that they're receiving from you, I think that's the push that all of us need to feel inspired to create that content and not try and be Casey Neistat, not try and be Brian Fanzo and win the game, so to speak. We want to connect with the people that want to connect with us, and I think that's a big takeaway I'd like to leave.
I think you just birthed a new hashtag, competitively kind. I think we all need to be competitively kind. Who can be the nicest?
I also want to add a point to what Mike is talking about. And for me, like everyone was talking about like LinkedIn earlier, and when I even do LinkedIn, creating content on LinkedIn, I love to give people different options to consume my content. So for a video, I don't really add captions to my video, which I should. And but I do, in the post, I lay out the key points that I discuss in my video. So even if this person is not into watching videos or have no time or couldn't listen to my video, this person can still know some of the key points in my video. So I love to give people that option, like different options to consume content. Yeah.
So you guys are all video experts in your own right. And I know when you know it, it's okay, we're gonna make it quick. You get through conversation and everything, and I'm sure everyone in this room wants to be better at live stream, better at video, and sometimes you feel like you want to do it. How do you turn on that switch when you have something going on in your life, or you don't know what you're trying to do, or your company's got a lot going on, that you still give that quality content that you're known for?
For me, it's about understanding that it's not about me, it's about the audience. And Troy, you and I have connected in person. We've met, and there's a number of speakers and people here in Lima that, where's Margot? Margot, raise your hand, right? Like, Troy, I wrote a book a few years ago called 50 States, 100 Days, the book, and I appreciate all of you guys if you want to stick around tomorrow to come see the film. And it's not a great book, right? It kind of looks like all my live stream videos. Like, it's not great. But what I understand is that the message means something to the people that consume it. And when I hear that Margot carries my book around if she's having a bad day, or that my book and my story changed, Kim Gaskell's life and her approach to content marketing and road tripping and social media, that's all you need. It's the human connection. It's that one-to-one when you look somebody, it's not even the digital eyeballs. I always steal this Fanzoism and modify it, right? It's about looking people in the real eyeballs and understanding that you're making an impact. This is why we travel to so many different events, that I travels from around the world to come here, because we want to meet the Vickies of the world, because we connect with them through the content that we're creating, and we understand that we're having an impact. And yes, that can be, that can just be a good feeling, but it can certainly also be economic. That can certainly lead to that ROI, again, with the gift of time.
I would also recommend kind of the mindset shift of it not being about turning on your stage persona or your superhero self who's capable and competent of being on video. It's about turning off that switch that says you can't. It's about turning off that idea of ever not being good enough to go on camera. Because I know we all have our things. I feel different when the red lipstick goes on. You feel different when you got your hat on. We have our superhero capes. But I've gone live with no makeup just from my living room before. It's about turning off the thing that says that you need something in order to do it.
Two things. One, there are some techniques that you can learn. Stephanie taught me one called anchoring. I've got a bracelet here that I wear that reminds me of past success. So when I'm feeling anxious, particularly about speaking or something like that, I can use that as an anchor to make me recall that success and feel more comfortable. But I'd also like to challenge this truth, and there may be people in the room, maybe even at this table, that don't agree with me. I'd like to challenge the notion that to be consistent, that means you have to show up every single time, no matter what, when we're talking about the creation of content. Does anybody else feel that maybe not that's not true? that it is okay to tell yourself it is okay to take a break. It is okay that I have so much other stuff going on in my life right now, I cannot possibly go on a live video and deliver excellent content. Mia, are you agreeing with me or are you challenging me? I agree with you. Mia's talking.
But then let it go if you need to. So you can't judge other people is basically what it is. So you'd make that decision for yourself, because that's a pretty tough thing to hang on to if you disappoint yourself. How's that? Sort of agreeing, non-disagreeing.
Yeah, no, I'd accept that, absolutely.
If you're going to do a collaboration video with other businesses, is there a way to do like a live video where you're both streaming the same video? And then if that's possible, is it better to have one person do a live video and then the other people share that content? Like, what is the best way to reach the most amount of people when collaborating with other businesses?
Yeah, I'll throw in on this one. There's a couple things going on here. The first thing that you want to learn about is called cross-posting. And this is specific to Facebook, where let's suppose you and another business, you both have a Facebook page. You can set up cross-posting so that when one of you begins a live video, it automatically, or upon your approval, begins to stream that same live video to their Facebook page. So now you're streaming the same video to 2 or more pages simultaneously. It's an awesome feature that Facebook added a little while ago. But the other thing that I want to suggest is that what you would want is both of you on the same video at the same time. There's software that you can do, Be Live, Ecamm, and so on, that will help you both be sitting in different locations and be participating in the same video at the exact same time. Now beyond that, there was another element you talked about, sharing. The sharing would then take place before, during, and after the video. Before that video, if possible, you want to pre-promote it so people know that you're going to go live. That's how you avoid having 0 people viewing your video live. You got to tell people that you're going to go live so that they know that they can set that side of time and be there for it. The other thing you can do then is right before you're about to go live and during it, you can share to personal profiles, Facebook groups, other Facebook pages that are relevant to what it is that you're doing. If you've got a Facebook group, it's a great idea, or a personal profile, something like that, you can tweet out a link to the Facebook page's live stream video, all that you can do, and of course you can promote it afterwards.
And for me, for my weekly live streaming show, I use StreamYard and Restream. I can show you the links later. And that allows me to go live on YouTube, on my personal Facebook page, Facebook group, my public Facebook page, on LinkedIn, and on Periscope and Twitter. And you can even go live to different social media apps in China. Not that you need to, but like there are many, many platforms. So I use a combination of them to go live on multiple channels. And when I have people join me live, I also encourage them to share. And also this is going back to what we were talking about earlier. I discovered as I have been hosting my show for 2 years, if you really focus on producing quality content, other people will do the marketing for you, which is so amazing. Like now I have people like in my community, they help me promote my show, share my content. I don't really do that much promotion like as much as I used to. It is so incredible. I think it goes back to what we discussed earlier, that human touch and really focus on quality, yeah.
But it's quality content, and it's also being a quality human being. That it really, again, when we look at the bar graph of, Instagram stories usage is way up and Twitter usage is down and whatever, what's really way up is messaging by like 20 to 1. Like that is far and away the biggest thing. So Damien was talking about it goes down in the DMs, right? Instead of focusing on maximizing the number of viewers, make sure you're maximizing the value of the conversations and just enjoying the moment. And the harsh truth, I think, really is not to even worry, even for the first maybe 6 months to a year of doing a show like that, about how many people are watching. Heck, we all still do shows, and we'd all love to have sometimes even double digits watching. So the numbers don't come quickly. I mean, it's a game of attrition sometimes. But it's really, it's more than that. It's about your audience seeing that you're there and that you're showing up for them, even if they're not watching more than once a month or once a year.
And just to add on to that, and Actually, there are lots of people who lurk, who are lurkers. They don't engage with you, but they are actually consuming your content. Every time I go to conference, I connect with people who never engage with me, but they like, yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, I want to say thank you to our lovely panel. Can we get a round of applause for these guys for coming in from around the world?